I can record it. Okay. All right. All right, so let's get started. So in QOOM, in this page here, this just kind of shows you a list of all your projects. It's like a little, we call it Explore, to simulate what you see on the on your local computer. But anyway, we go to click here, new project, create one called Crypto Chat. And when you do that, it will automatically send you to an editor here, online editor that you can use to create whatever you like. So what I like to think of this editor like a canvas that, you know, you once you put something on it, it instantly is live for everyone to see. So I can go to put hello here, for example, and then you can see here, you'd see hello here. And just to show you can see it on anything, you can actually, if you have a phone with you, you can send this QR code and you can take a picture of it. And then you can see that you can see on your phone too. So let me zoom that in. It says hello. So I can actually type something here. Hello, this is my app. And then I can just go over to my phone and hit refresh, and it instantly is there. So just let you know, it's completely published. All right, so let's get started building our tool now. What this tool looks like is something like this. So I'm just going to give you a demo of it really quick. Let's say I wanted to tell, let's say I had an account, like an email account shared with my team. So maybe my team is working together on some competition and we want to share an email account. And I forgot the password to that email account. So let's say I wanted to share that with a friend. So let's say my password was Ferdy or something. But we have a key, maybe our team name, like avocado. Okay, I can decrypt that. I'm sorry, encrypt it. And then I can send this link to people wherever if I want. And like maybe text message it or something, and they can go over here. And if they enter the key avocado, you can decrypt it, and then they can see the password. In doing this, if you go to Dev Tools and go to the Network tab, you can verify when I encrypt something, nothing gets sent to the server, or decrypting. Nothing is getting sent to the server. All you see is this fave icon thing. So you can see it's completely client side. So, all right. Next, all right, so let's create this thing and let's talk about how we're going to create it. First of all, we're going to start with the HTML. And with the HTML, we're just going to put everything that you see in this page, but it's not going to look like this, but we're going to have all the structure. And then we're going to go to CSS, and we're going to use that grid system to really map it out, lay it out like you see here, as well as getting the colors defined and the fonts defined. After we're done with the CSS, we'll jump right into the JavaScript where we actually will add code behind each of these buttons. Because we started so late, I'm going to probably move a lot really fast so you can just see the whole thing. And feel free to look at the notes or the video recording if you need to follow along at your own pace. All right, so let's start. I'm going to go back to the HTML. Oh, by the way, feel free to ask questions and all that on the chatting. We have a TA. Her name is Tasha, and she will be handling any questions you might have in chat, and she will be responsible for interrupting me if there's something I need to know about. All right, so let's start. So if I look here, I can see that there's two buttons, encrypt it and decrypt. So let's just start with that. I'm basically going to create two buttons. And I'm assuming you guys know how HTML and CSS work. Decrypt. All right, and you can see right away, I have two buttons. Click on them, nothing happens, but you can see that we're starting to build this out. Okay. Next, I'm going to add everything you see here. So I have the secret message machine. I'm going to put that as a H1 element. And then I'm just going to work my way down here. So the next thing here you put in here is like an input field to ask for the whoops, type is equal to text. I guess I don't need a type because these are all text anyway. Text is default. I'll just put a placeholder here. So a placeholder allows you to enter a message into the text box itself. So you can see here it says enter a key. All right. And then I have two text areas. I have a text area called that says, let me refresh this so you can see what it looks like. It says enter a message to encrypt. So I just put that as a placeholder again. To encrypt. And then I'm going to have another one. I'm going to put that after the decrypt. So I have like a section here for encrypting and a section here for decrypting and such. So I basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements on this page that correspond to these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements. All right. So now we have our HTML done. We can now jump over to the CSS. Now to do that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to add some IDs here so that I can tell the difference between these two text areas. So I'm going to call this ID, call it encrypt message. Let's call it encrypt message. And this is going to be a little different than the notes. Finding the notes with just using positional arguments in CSS was a little confusing for people. So I'm going to change this around a little bit. Decrypt message. And I'm going to create an ID here called encrypt button. And an ID here. Let's call it decrypt button. All right, there we go. Doesn't change anything here, but now I have a way to find these things, each element, and style them. Okay, so when I do the CSS, what I like to do is work on the global piece first, and then dive into each of the sections or each element. So I have this whole body element. So let me go back to the HTML. I'm going to style this first, and then I'm going to style each element. So kind of a top-down approach. So let's just start with the body. CSS is just adding a property that you want to set, and you put in the value you want for that property. So I want a black background and color green. Okay. And I also want the font style, a font family, I should say, to be monospace, so that it gives it a more techie look. So monospace, each letter occupies the same width. Okay, so now you can see that we're starting to have our message here. I'm gonna make this light green. Actually, I think it looks a little better than dark green. It stands out better. Okay, so next, let's now work on the each of the small elements. So let's start with the H1. And I'm just going to put that in the middle. So now our message is in the middle. And now I'm going to work to style each of the elements in here. So first is the input. And again, I want to make my background color of my input slightly less black. So really, really dark gray. And I can use that by using hex code here. Okay, and let's just get rid of the border. And I don't know, put some padding into it so that there's some space around the lettering. And okay, let's just stop there. Let's just get the colors right. Okay. And I'm going to do the text area very similarly. So I'm going to copy that and just type text area here. But the text area, I'm going to actually put as color as, again, light green, so it stands out. So it's going to look a little different. So you can see that here. Oh, I have to spell text area, right? All right. So now if I type in here, you can see it turns to green. All right. And let me see if anything else. Oh, the other thing with text area has this default resizing thingy. Let's get rid of that. Just put resize none. And let's give it a height so that it will fit. Let's make it 50% of the height of the basically the view area here. So it's 50 VH now. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. You can see that. Okay, and now let's get some basic buttons going. So I'm just working on the font and the color and things like that. So again, I'm gonna make it basically the same thing as this. I'm gonna copy and paste and just delete. So it has a common look and feel to everything. So resize none. Don't need that. Height, I want to be like that. I'm actually gonna put a little more spacing around the buttons. Let's put one here and make sure as I hover over it, it's clickable. Right now, if I hover over it, doesn't feel like it's clickable. So I'm gonna make a cursor pointer here. So it looks like I click it. Okay. All right, it's not perfect yet, but at least I got the color schemes all there. Now let's work on the layout. Let's get it to fit like these Lego pieces, like they fit in a grid. All right, so to do that, I'm going to add to the body a display system. I'm going to say whatever's in the body, display it as a grid. So whatever's in the body, display as a grid. And what it does is it does its best job to put things in a grid. So everything's kind of filled out as you see it. But I have a specific layout I want to do. As you can see, I want the header to be the whole width, the input to be the whole width, and then I want the text area and the buttons to be only 50% of basically of the width of the grid. Okay. So I'm going to create a grid template areas to do that. So I want the header to note as H to take up the whole width. And what I can do here is I can say grid area to be H here. And then see it takes up the whole width. And then I can add my next row. My next row is that input. So that's where I'm going to put the special key. So I'm going to put that as K. So I'm going to call that grid area K. All right, so now this is the whole width as you see. All right, next I'm going to make the two text areas to be next to each other. So I want to call that, I'm going to say the left area and the right area. And this is where I'm going to use that ID. So the left one was called encrypt message. So I can do hashtag encrypt message and then grid area L. And then put a semicolon there. And a decrypt message. And that one's going to be R. Okay. So now my messages are side by side. And now I need to worry about my buttons. So I call it E and D, E for encrypt, D for decrypt. I'm going to copy and paste these guys and basically use these buttons, encrypt button and decrypt button. So all I have to do is change this message. So in a modern IDE, you can always just select what you want and hit Control D. And you can like select two things at once and edit it at once. It just speeds up coding there. And this one was E and this one is D. All right, so now I have this thing that looks like that. I want to now make sure the width doesn't go too wide. As you can see here, it has a fixed width if you look at it. So here I'm going to give a max width on the to be 960 pixels. Okay. So now if I make it bigger than 290-60 pixels, it will stop growing in size. Okay. And I also want to put it in the middle. So I'm going to do margin auto. And that way, when I do the width thing, it will stay in the middle. I'm also going to bring it down a little bit from the top. So I'm going to add a margin top of 100 pixels. So it brings it down a little bit. Yeah. And there we go. I have my layout. Now I can just continue to work on it and make it look better, but I think for now, this is good enough. And let me just check the chats here to see what's going on here. All right, everything's good. All right. Now that we're done with the CSS, and I know I zoomed past that, we can get into making this work in JavaScript. So in the notes, I have a section about making this look better in mobile phone. We don't have time to do that, so I recommend you look at that on your own time. But I'm going to give you guys a few minutes, like maybe 3 minutes or so, to catch up, ask questions you might have. Again, this is a workshop. I like it when everyone's working on something in a workshop instead of just sitting passively listening. So feel free to ask any questions for the next few minutes, or feel free to work on the code, look at it. All right, maybe 1 more minute and then we'll continue. Feel free to ask questions if you have any. You guys are a quiet bunch. All right, maybe I'll just get going then. I know I'm moving fast again because we started late, so apologize for that. All right, one thing I want to do here is, I think before we get into JavaScript, there's one thing that's really bugging me. I forgot to put a gap between everything. So I'm just put a grid gap of 5 pixels or something. That will give me a nice kind of border around everything. So, okay, I'll do that. And everything still looks pretty good. All right, sweet. So in the JavaScript, I'm gonna show you in our tutorial again to give you a kind of a preview. If I go back here, we just finished. We quickly went through building the user interface for it, which is important when you're doing a hackathon because you want to make sure that your project is usable. And let me walk you through what we're going to do in JavaScript. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import a library called script.js. And since we're trying to build this in a way that you can trust everything, this crypto.js is file that I am providing for you guys is completely unminified. It's what's called beautified, so you can look at it, understand how the algorithms work. And it's also being hosted on your own server, so you're reducing the number of dependencies that's going on. And then we're going to basically build a function called load that will be called when the browser loads. And we're going to go fetch all the elements on the page and assign variables to them. Okay. Then we're going to create two functions, encrypt and decrypt. So when you click those buttons, it will do the magic. And then we'll write the code to do encrypt, and then write the code to do a decrypt. So that just kind of gives you a heads up of what we're going to do. So let's get started. I'm going to give you this link here so that everyone can bring in the JavaScript or code themselves. So I'm going to do that too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this code. So as you can see, there's like, 6,000 lines of code here with all the algorithms to do the encryption. And the encryption we're going to do is called AES, the Advanced Encryption Standard. So just a heads up on that. So copy that, go over here and create a new file called crypto.js. Create, paste, and voila, you have your own copy now that you can look through and understand how the AES algorithm works, as well as other algorithms that are in here. All right, so next step is we're going to need to reference that file in our HTML so that when the page loads, it will load that file so we can use it. So we just go script source is equal to src equals to crypto.js. Okay. All right, so now we can use the functions inside that file. So now let's go into our script.js, the one that it will be loaded when our page loads here. Okay. And we're going to create a function called load. Okay. And what we're going to do here is we're going to call this function when the actual page loads. So we have to add an event listener here. And what we're going to listen to is when the DOM content loaded. So that means when everything in the browser is loaded, it will call that function load. Okay. Next, we're going to create a bunch of variables for each of the important parts. So we don't really care about the message, so we're not going to use that in our JavaScript, but we're going to use these 5 things in our JavaScript. So let's just quickly write that up. So I'm going to create a constant called key. And I'm going to use document.querySelector to find elements because it's very generic. It allows me to find elements in all sorts of different ways. So if I put in just the name of the tag to its input, it will find this guy. And and let me just show you how that works so that you see. Let me just kind of console log the value. So if I inspect console, and let me kind of delete everything here. Okay, put a new line here to reload it. Let me select the proper preview panel, and let me try it again. Okay, so here it logged something, but nothing is there because I didn't put anything here. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that it's logging something here. So I can put it here. Here is your key, boom. And let me just show that so you can actually see it. It's probably better. There you can see here's your key. I just wanted to show you how to debug and look at things in JavaScript. It's a really helpful skill to have when you are building something out. All right, so let me create some more constants here. So I'm going to put encrypt message, and I'm going to put that one as a hashtag. And what was that one? It was this one, encrypt message. And switch 4, and then I'm going to copy and paste this because I have 3 more to do. I want to do decrypt message. So I'm going to do that control D trick again. Okay. And then I'm going to have a button. So I'm going to change these to button. And then this one to button. So we got encrypt button, decrypt button. Okay. And then lastly, I'm going to make this uppercase B, okay, to be consistent. All right. Now I'm going to add some event listeners. So when I click the button, I'm going to create a function here. So when I click the encrypt button, when I click it, I'm going to call encrypt, which I have to create. So let's create that right now. Function encrypt. And then likewise, I'm going to do the same thing for decrypt. So I'm just going to, again, use that control D trick to change all this to decrypt. Okay. And then I'm going to organize my code so that this is at the bottom, so I have my functions together. All right, so now I have encrypt and decrypt. Now I'm ready to write some code. So again, let me just show you how this is working. I'm going to console log, and I'm going to get the key.value here. And when I hit encrypt, so I'm going to hit inspect here again. For the console, choose my frame, delete that. Okay, so I put a key here like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, encrypt. You can see whatever I wrote. Okay, and you can change the CSS to something else. To me, it's the key. Making it really black makes it hard for people to look from a side and see what you type there. Okay. All right, so let's do the encryption now. All right, so I'm going to create a try catch loop so that I'm alerted to when any errors happen. So I'm just going to start that out like that. Okay. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that value. So from my key element dot value. And if for some reason someone hits the button without entering a value there, I'm gonna return an alert message. Please enter a key. Okay, so if I hit encrypt, it's gonna say please enter a key. But if I type something in the key, it doesn't complain. All right. Now the same thing for message to encrypt. I need that as well. So I'm going to copy these two. And this time I'm going to do encrypt message. And here I'm going to put encrypt message. And please enter a message to encrypt. Okay, testing that really quick. I'm going to put a key in here. Enter that. Okay, what happened? Encrypt message. Try this. Oh, no, yeah, encrypt message dot value. Should I try this again? Encrypt. All right, something funny is happening. Oh, I see. I think I am. No, that's not it. Constant. Okay, I'm going to put a little debugger here, see what's going on. So again, if I have errors, you can see how I handle them. So I go to inspect, console, and I'm going to now hit the button, enter a key, hit the button, and it hits this breakpoint here. And then use these tools here to step through. And I can see what that message is. It's nothing. Oh, I see. So I was saying if there is an encrypt message, that's my issue. I forgot to put the exclamation mark. Okay, at least you saw how I debugged. So now if I enter a key but no message, it will ask me to please enter a message. Okay. Now, let's go encrypt that message now. So to do that, I'm going to create another message called encrypted message because it's been encrypted, which is going to hold that that encrypted message using the crypto library. So crypto.js is what we just imported here. And I'm going to do .aes because I want to encrypt with that. That's the encryption algorithm I want to use. And I'm going to use the encrypt method off of it. I'm going to enter the encrypt message and the key. So, and then convert that to a string. Okay. And then I'm going to put that into the message to the decrypt message text area. So I'm going to do decrypt message dot value basically is equal to encrypted message. All right. So now if I enter a key like 1, 2, 3, 4, enter a message like I am going to run or something, encrypt, you can see here, you can see what the encrypted looks like. And this is what you can send people without anyone else knowing what this means, because it's really impossible to, really hard to decrypt this unless you know the key. I never want to say impossible. There's probably someone, if there's a will, there's a way, but this is AES is a standard by the NSA. So if you trust the NSA, then you want to trust it. If you don't, then you probably understand that they probably have a way to decrypt it. So it's how conspiracy theory oriented you are. But this is what we're using. All right, so now we need a way to send this message to people. So what I like to do is send it through the URL. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new URL to put up here so that you have a place to send it to people. So to do that, I'm just going to get the domain name, it's location.origin, and I'm going to get the path name that I'm on, which is just crypto-chat-script.js. And then I'm going to add a query string. So I'm going to add a question mark so I can add data to my URL. And then I'm just going to pass in that encrypted message. So there's my URL. And now I just need to put it in the address bar. So I can just do that by doing window.history.pushState. I'm not going to send any data there, so it's going to be empty. I'm not going to put a title on it. I just want to put the URL there. So that's all I'm doing. Okay, so now if I take this out of the page, watch what happens. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, put a message to encrypt, I am going to run encrypt. There's my message. And you can see here, this key is placed right here. Okay. All right. So I just showed you a lot, I know. But I hope that was understandable to you. But now we're going to jump into decryption. So the use case is you would, sorry, where's my, here it is. You would send this to someone now. On your phone, you can send it as a link, or just using the little buttons in the browser, or you, in the desktop, you can just Control-C and email it to people or whatever. So when the browser goes to this page, what we want to do is take this key and put it here, so that when someone enters the key here, they can hit decrypt and see the message here. Okay. So let's do that in the decrypt function. So again, I'm going to do a try catch, starting out with that. Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do, I think what I'm going to do actually is after here, I'm actually going to fetch it. Like I said, I'm jumping ahead. What I want to do next is I want to take this string here and put it here. This isn't anything with decrypting button yet. I just want to put this here. So I'm going to do that here. So when the page loads, I can go get my decrypt message .value and basically grab that from the URL. So all I have to do is location.search. That gives me everything with the question mark and after. I have to cut off that question mark and it will put it in there. So let's see if that works. So if I refresh now, you can see here's the key, but for some reason it has the question mark. Let me try it again. Maybe it was in the middle of saving. Okay, I made a boo-boo. Oh, this should be substring of 1. I want to cut off the first character. That was my bad. Typing while I'm talking. Try it again. There you go. It's gone. And I don't have the key here. So now I'm going to enter the key and decrypt it. So I want to enter my key. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4? Hit decrypt. And then I want to see my secret message there. All right. To do that, I need to basically do the exact same thing I did with, not the exact same thing, but very similar things with encrypt. So I'm going to copy and paste it. I still need the key. But this time when I'm decrypting, I need to make sure there's a message in the decrypt field. So I'm going to do that Control D trick again and put decrypt here. Okay. And type decrypt here. All right. And then down here, I'm going to need to decrypt the message using the same algorithm. So this is going to be decrypted message. And instead of being AES.encrypt, it's going to be decrypt. Pretty obvious, right? And I pass in the message and key, the decrypt message and key this time. Okay. And now when I take it to a string, this is a little different here now. I'm going to have to tell it what encoding I want it to use. So the browser pretty much always uses some encoding called UTF-8, which just tells the browser basically what letter in the font to render for a certain character. So I can just type this here, UTF-8. Okay, there I got my decrypted message. Now I'm gonna I want to show that decrypted message. So basically, I want to take my encrypt message here and show the decrypted message. Okay. And now that I've removed it, I want to update this. So I want to change my URL to not have anything in it and do that push state again. All right, and I forgot here. If there's any errors here, again, you hit the control key and you can have multi-cursors. You can just do alert X like that. So in case there's any exceptions going on, I can be alerted to them. All right, so now let's test this out. I'm going to start again from the beginning and get rid of that. Okay, enter my key, 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a message here. I'm going to run for president or something. Encrypt. Have that message. I'm going to send that message to myself. So send it here. And you guys can try this out too, actually. So let me send this link to you. And now if I hit 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can hit, I want to decrypt it. So hit that decrypt button and you can see my message. Now if I enter a wrong key, hit the decrypt message, you see nothing. It won't work. So if you pick a very simple key, it's very easy for a hacker to go through all the simple keys and figure out what things are. So if you have a very complicated key, then it'd be nearly impossible for anyone to figure out what you did. So if you do use this, make sure you use a key that is very special, and you can use any special characters you want. You can use key slam, a lot of characters. So if I wanted to encrypt a message like tornado are coming, hit encrypt, you can see now that person has to enter this really weird special key to get this. And guessing this would be, I would say, impossible. All right. I ended 5 minutes before, which was my intention, again, to answer any questions you might have. So please ask questions. I'm really excited to see you guys use this into your hackathon projects. Now, if you don't want to ask questions here in a public setting, you're more than welcome to ask questions on our Discord channel. I think GA will send you a link to that. And we can talk there, or any member of our community can answer your questions. And we have lots of students your age in our community who knows all this stuff well, that would be eager to answer your questions. Okay. Another thing with QOOM, it's really intended for you guys to build things, using raw vanilla JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, so you can do things right at the core level. But you are able, if you're interested in doing something like Tailwind CSS or some third-party library or jQuery, you can always import it into the project or add a link to the CDN to those files and use those in your project. Nothing's stopping you for that. We also have a database system. So if you want to do anything with the database, you can feel free to click here. And in the future, we're going to have a backend system where you can actually build projects that involve backend code on a private server. So keep your eye out for that. All right. No questions then. Thank you guys, and really look forward to seeing your projects. And I'll stay online until 12 to give anyone a chance to answer questions.